All right, welcome to Mostly Lifting Stuff. Today we're joined by Chad Litchfield. Welcome.
Thank you.
Chad, how's it going?
Excellent. Ready to get back into the week.
Yes, sir. It is a solid Sunday night here in good old Oakland University. So Chad is a senior mechanical engineer. Do you work anywhere?
Yeah, I work at Kamau in Southfield.
At where?
Kamau? Yeah, they do like robotic automation.
Oh, wow. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes you have little robots, mostly welding robots or like sealer robots.
Okay. So that's like a whole different thing from then what you guys do with the automotive. But do you guys like make robots that help with automotive and things, or is it kind of everything? You're just
so there's like generally like my first internship was all outer paneling, so all the nice painted stuff.
Okay.
What I'm doing now is like robots that weld and put your whole car together on the inside, the ugly part that you don't see. It has all the dashboard material and stuff on it.
I gotcha. So to finish the bio real quick, Chad is a quote-unquote injury chaser. I had to get that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he focuses on powerlifting, some endurance to get the workout started, and then depending on how he's feeling, which we'll get into with the injuries, sometimes he focuses on like volume and things like that, like you were kind of talking about. But also to start a little beef with Chad, him and Nick Baker went to the same high school, and we are shooting for more views on this video than Nick Baker's video.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's get it up there. I got to beat Nick Baker. They'll give me some good bragging rights, and I might have to get him back on the podcast,
Yeah.
See if he can rival that.
Well, it's training partner rivalry since...
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention we're lifting buddies. That's right.
They start benching, and Chad doesn't have much hope, but he's got hope on here, so need to help him out. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the weight room numbers don't count here, just the viewership numbers.
So you were just telling us a little bit about your style. Why do you kind of do the things you do?
Well, originally before I got this second hernia, which I'm sure we'll get into eventually, but I was planning on going into the Navy to become a Navy SEAL. And being a Navy SEAL, it isn't all just being strong and macho and stuff. You have to have a little bit of finesse and endurance in there. So, like, part of their training is, like, they have a timed 4-mile run. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to do 4 miles in under 32 minutes. You also have to be able to swim miles and do all this endurance-related stuff, but you also have to be able to lift, like, heavy boats, like a 400-pound boat with a couple other people. Right. So, like, that's kind of why I mix in endurance with powerlifting. And plus, that way, like, you have your quick twitch and your slow twitch muscles. You're kind of hitting both muscle groups. So, like, if you're someone who's like me who kind of has a smaller frame, but also is also injury prone, you tend to keep your muscle mass and lose a less % of what you can lift. So, like, if I can lift 200 pounds or 250 pounds, which is my most recent max. Okay. Like, over this next month and a half that I can't lift anything, I might only lose, like, 30% of that. Where if Nick started taking a month and a half off, he's going to lose 50%, I would imagine, off his bench. Granted, it is significantly higher, but it's just because he trains quick twitch, and it's easier to lose your quick twitch than it is your slow twitch. So that's why I work in the endurance side of that into my workouts. Okay, so where did this kind of desire to go into the Navy come from, and what are you planning on doing now? Like, how has that changed? That's a good question that I yet to have a good answer for. It kind of just started in middle school where I saw this on a Discovery Channel. It was Surviving the Cut, and believe it or not, it was Marines. I first started getting into the Marines and whatnot, and then somehow I found the Navy SEALs. I think it was the movie Act of Valor got me turned on to the Navy SEALs. And I did some research, and I was like, the Marines are cool and all. No beef with them or anything. But I just found out that the Navy SEALs were a little bit more trained, and they do a little bit more of the edgy, risky stuff than the Marines. So I was like, you know what? I think that's the thing for me. And ever since then, I can't get it off my mind. Even if I know it's not good for me. Okay. So I just always have been interested. And unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to get in now because this will be my third surgery. I had a knee surgery for a meniscus, but that wasn't anything big. I was working out 3 days later for that.
Okay. So you've had a hernia surgery, you said.
Yep.
You've done a meniscus, and now you have another hernia coming up.
Yeah.
So you hit both sides.
Yeah, both inguinal.
Yeah. I had one as a young child when I was like 3.
Yeah.
I have one too, or I had one, but.
Yeah, and it's actually a very common thing in guys, males, I should say. Just because, so I actually found this out. The reason guys get them, especially at like a young age like you had, is because when we're in the womb as babies, we all start kind of out as females, and your balls drop. And they drop through these 2 little slots that you have in your groin area. And that's why guys get hernias in their groin, is because it kind of creates like a weak spot for your intestines to squeeze out of.
Okay.
So that's why guys get hernias more often than girls, is because they've never had to have like that little slot or weakness that the guys do.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because like I guess I don't have like a complete understanding of it, because I've told you before, like I have a hernia. Like it was discovered during a different surgery, and like they basically told me, if it doesn't bother you, then we're gonna leave it alone. And I guess it doesn't quite click with me, like make sense as to why they would do that. But I mean, I guess if nothing's like actively like, because the trouble is when you start like moving through the void, right?
What do you mean by void?
Like you have like a tear in the muscle, right? Or like a hole in the muscle.
It's like a lining. So like you hunt, so like that diaphragm that separates the organ or lower out organs from the lungs and heart.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's like a stomach lining. It's not like a muscle or anything.
Okay.
Because
So it's a separation of the muscle, though?
Yeah, because your body has layers on layers on layers.
Okay.
And it's just a tearing in the stomach lining that separates from what I understand, I'm not a doctor or anything here, but it separates the intestines and all the guts and stuff from your muscles.
Okay.
So.
Nursing Major Austin, you can confirm.
Well, yeah, and then that's why like it bubbles up, because it has nowhere to go, so it's just trying to find its way out, which is why it's going to that weak spot.
Yeah.
But yours obviously isn't bubbling up or whatnot. You know what I mean? I don't know if yours is, but like mine was like a little golf ball or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's to the point where it's like, okay, now I need to like intervene.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and like both hernias, which is unfortunate to say. Gosh, I hate that so much. But both hernias were completely different. So like the first one, I got lifting a pool table from the basement up a flight of stairs.
Was it yours or was it for a friend?
It was for my mom.
Okay.
So
we'll take it.
Yeah. Counts as a friend.
You can't blame somebody then.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah. So I was moving up a flight of stairs, and it just I was standing at an awkward angle, and I was kind of rotating to my left, pulling from left to right. And the way you get a hernia is you put too much pressure on your like lower intestines, so they squirt out kind of, or squeeze out. And what I did was I elongated, I guess, that side of my like stomach lining too much, and it just caused a little hole to rip. There's a guy I like to listen to on YouTube, Athlete X.
Yeah. I've watched all sorts of his videos.
Yeah, he has an interesting metaphor for it. He takes a piece of paper and he goes, if you pull it perfectly linearly, you can put a lot of force on a piece of paper. He goes, but if you pull it on a diagonal, that paper rips so easily.
Right.
He says it's the same way. He goes, if you put tension on it the improper way, the way it's not designed to, it's super easy to get a hernia.
That's actually why he's actually the reason that for like bent over rows.
Mm-hmm.
I never you see a lot of people doing them with like they have their leg on the bench, and he actually said that's like a movement that's like prone to getting hernias because you have like the one leg higher than the other one. You're in like kind of that twisted state a little bit, and then you're loading downward.
Yeah, and often a lot of people don't do rows right, and they actually overextend, so they don't row it properly. They go past the point of where it's actually working the back muscle is what I got from that video. So glad we've seen the same video.
Yeah, I actually either do usually I'll either like straddle the bench and then I'll hold on to it with one hand. So like my hips are, I guess, like balanced. Or we started doing. There's a guy that's a power lifter. His name is Chris Duffin, and he does them. He calls them like quadrupt rows or something like that. And so you have like you have your right knee on the bench, then you have your left hand on the bench, and you're rowing with your right hand.
Okay.
And so you're not doing as much weight, and your one leg's kind of like
because the balance is tough.
Yeah. Your one leg's kind of floating, but you could feel it so much more in your lats than we could feel like regular rows. Yeah, but it's not as much weight.
Wonder if it's because it makes you like stabilize or something.
Yeah, so you're stabilizing with like your obliques, but you're also, I think, like relying more on your lat for the actual movement instead of just like
you're not
like
compensating by rotating or something like that. I got
because
that
then
makes
you
sense.
lose your balance. So it's kind of interesting the different ways you can do it. And
actually, I kind of like both those ideas: straddling it and having the one, and then I have to try them in a month and a half.
Yeah,
when I get back into it.
So that's your timetable then? You got about 6 weeks? Or?
Well, yeah, for this one. So the first one I had a laparoscopic, which basically they take like three probes, and they stick it in, they pump your stomach and make it a balloon, and they repair it that way. The only problem with that method is like you only get one shot. So if you get another hernia, which is what I have in this case, they have to do open hernia or inguinal repair. So they make like a little 1.5 to 2 inch incision, and they go just right at it.
Okay, and then they're repairing that lining, or are they Are they trying to like? Because obviously there's still like the gap there in the muscle tissue. Are they trying to like bring that closer somehow? Or?
So hernia doesn't actually get through the muscle tissue; it just gets through the lining.
Okay.
And the reason why hernias are important to get repaired is one, you have a big nerve down there that kind of keeps your feeling in your legs. I don't know what nerve that is, but it's down there. And there's also another huge artery.
There's a big artery there too, yeah.
Yeah, and like that can cause you a lot of issues depending on like the location of the hernia or the size of it, because I mean it can make you infertile. It can actually kill you if it gets big enough. So yeah, you just gotta get them fixed, unfortunately. And the only way to fix them is through surgery. So
okay.
And this one just happens to be open hernia repair, and from what I understand, they're going to cut through the top layers of skin, and then they're going to get to my abdominal wall, which is a muscle, and they're going to cut through that, and then they're going to be able to repair it there.
So the recovery time is more because the abdominal.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Based on the research I've done, it takes like 3 to 6 weeks for your muscles to heal after having them cut open or ripped. Like if you have a torn pec or something like that, 3 to 6 weeks. It's all the same. Torn muscle, cut muscle, all behaves the same.
Okay. So, you want to elaborate on how
I got them?
Yeah, I mean, I heard you told me the other day about this one. It's kind of like, it's just like a freak thing.
Yeah. The misconception with hernias is you are lifting too much weight.
Right.
You're more likely to get a hernia outside of a weight room than you are inside. And the reason why is when you're in the weight room, and this is purely just my opinion at this point, when you're in the weight room, generally you work out in front of a mirror so you can see your technique or your form, and you're focusing on what you're doing at that exact same moment.
Keeping tight, all those types of things you talk about.
Proper mechanics.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing that and you're lifting a pool table or you're, raking leaves, or in my case, sneezing in a meeting for work, you're not focusing on that.
Oh, no.
Dude, I know. Like, it's the weakest way to get
Did you try to hold it in?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Is that why they say not to hold them in?
Yep, don't hold your sneezes in because you potentially get a very expensive hernia repair. So
I always do that too.
Yeah.
I'm a ticking time bomb.
Did you know right away?
Oh, well, at first...
Or was it just a pain?
It feels like a burning sensation, kind of. So, like, I felt it. I'm like, there's no way I just got a hernia from sneezing, and didn't think anything of it. And keep in mind, like, after this, I got this hernia in December when I was in a work meeting, like on a winter break. I'd been lifting all the way through January, super heavy, all the way through February, super heavy, and it just happened where I stepped out of the shower one day. I looked in the mirror. I was like, damn, that's a little bulge right there. Okay, easy guys, easy
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
jokes there. But
we won't make fun.
Oh
of
yeah,
you.
we were
We
gonna
won't
say
make- we won't
it.
make
I
fun
was
of your
gonna
little
say
bitch.
it.
well, my friends gave me a little shit for little crap for saying that. But yeah, I just stepped out. I was like, that's a little bulge, and I was like, that's a hernia. So I went to the doctor and I said, listen, I got a hernia. I know exactly how I got it. And he just explained to me, he goes, when you did that, you squeezed your abs so hard that you popped one. He goes, never hold a sneeze because the potential.
It is literally what it is, though. You're just like, you tense up and
Yeah.
Right. I wonder though, because like for lifting, especially like doing powerlifting movements, a big part of it is bracing.
Right.
So like the analogy for bracing is like you're basically trying to fill up like your diaphragm with as much air as possible, and you're squeezing your abs and also pushing out as hard as you can, like especially if you have a belt on. Like that's what you're supposed to create. I mean, I think the best comparison is like a pop can. You think about a pop can that's like pressurized and sealed, like compared to a pop can that's open or empty. Just the amount of, you could put hundreds and hundreds of pounds on a sealed pop can and it would hold up.
Right.
But like, you put 5 pounds on one that's not and it's going to break.
Yeah.
But what does, like, I guess I don't understand the science of it well enough to understand how doing that couldn't lead to getting hernias, because you're creating all that inner abdominal pressure.
Yeah, so from what I understand, there's good abdominal pressure and there's bad abdominal pressure, especially the lower. So like when you're squeezing, you're kind of using your upper abs. You're filling your upper abs.
Yeah, you're breathing into your diaphragm.
Yeah, the issue is when it gets lower.
Okay.
And you use your abs incorrectly. So like for me, in my case, I have muscle imbalance where for somebody my size, I have extremely strong abs, but my lower back isn't as strong as it should be.
Okay.
So what the doctor's theory is that I was using my abs to compensate for my lower back in the case of lifting or something like that. And because he doesn't believe it was a sneeze, he thinks it was me lifting. So his theory is I was using my abs to kind of keep me upright rather than my back.
Okay.
And so that's his theory. But I mean, are you gonna believe somebody that wasn't there and just has a theory, or are you gonna believe the guy who sneezed and felt the pain? So.
I mean, he did go to school though.
He did go to school. I do trust
No,
him, but yeah.
It just does seem like a freak type of thing, though.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Like the more people I talk to, like I talk to all the medical staff because you have to go through all this paperwork beforehand, and they're like, yeah, people get stuff from like bowling, raking leaves. It's just a matter of like not elongating your groin to a point where it wants to tear.
Okay.
That's all really it all comes down to, is making sure you don't put too much pressure down there and that you don't overextend.
Okay.
I guess that's it. I mean, that's everyone's opinion so far that I've talked to. And granted, they're not doctors; they're the nurses that work there. But yeah, I think like they have some credibility.
Yeah.
Just picking things up on the job.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I think my laptop's trying to fly away right now. The fan gets a little crazy sometimes.
Oh, yikes.
But yeah, I guess that's the craziest thing about this is like, especially with like the breathing and like the bracing for lifting. That's not like anything you ever like. You see like posters at the gym and like instructional stuff on how to do a lift. Very rarely do they even address the breathing and like the bracing and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's such an important part of it for injury prevention. Like, I mean, I didn't even start studying it thoroughly until probably like a year ago or so. I started looking into it more. But before that, it was just always like, oh yeah, you breathe in at the top and then you breathe out, on the way down or whatever. Like, breathe in before you do the hard part of it, and you like breathe out like on a bench, like on the way up.
Yeah.
I had never like looked much beyond that, but it's like it's so crucial to the movements and to like the tension you have in your body and stuff to protect,
Yeah.
all these like soft tissues and whatnot and your back, and it's just amazing how much more there is to it than most people know.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't do nearly as much research as you guys. Like, I'll watch every now and then like a squatting video just to see a different technique or something, but I don't go nearly in depth as you guys do with your research and stuff.
Garrett loves it.
I'm all about
Big research guy.
Yeah,
I know. He tells me about everything he does all the time, and all the new cool stuff he finds on the internet.
I just trust that he passes it along.
Yeah, I send off some videos, and I'm like, all right, well, hopefully you watch that. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your guys' programs are the most interesting thing for me too, because like you guys are, I was saying you guys would consider yourself powerlifters, right?
Well, the program we're doing right now is considered like power building. So the first part was like more bodybuilding, and this part's more powerlifting. Okay.
So and like I was talking to Jordan the other day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're doing like this many reps." I was like, "That's unusual." I think he was doing like 225 by 15 or something, for 3 sets.
I don't know what he's doing. He's not on the same one that me and Austin are on right now. He's on the
Jordan is a little suspect right now. We don't understand what's going on with him.
He's finding his own way right now. So.
Okay.
But me and him made a program last year, and it was, we saw like good progress with it for a while, but we reached a point where we were like super burnt out by it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that was a 5-day-a-week program, and just talking to people, most people are like floored when I'm like, yeah, like we work out like 3 or 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you, like, really? Like, they think like, oh, like, they see all this stuff. Oh yeah, there's like, rest days are bad. You just need to go to the gym as much as you can, and that's how it's like. No, like I really think the sweet spot's about 4 days.
Yeah, I would say 4 days.
And right now, our programming is in like the powerlifting portion of this program. It's so heavy that
do my legs still hurt?
My legs still hurt from Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
That's a good feeling though. That means you put that work in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, if we were doing much more than 4 days or more than 3 days for this part of the program,
there's no way.
We just wouldn't be recovered, and
Yeah.
your strength is going to just decline, and you're going to kind of just bury yourself. So there's definitely a sweet spot.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with like your diet and your sleep. I mean, I'm sure you guys are just like me. You probably only get 6 hours of sleep, 6.5 hours of sleep at night, right?
I'm probably about 7.5 on average.
Okay.
I'm pretty solid with sleep.
I'm around 7.
I've been getting better. It's been a focus of mine. Like something I've had to focus on though, because I'll be in bed on my phone or whatever. I'm like, I need to actually sleep. Like I can't just lay here and like screw around. I need to,
Well, you don't realize when you're playing on your phone.
Right.
It's too late.
Or if you're on Facebook, you know how you get down that little tunnel.
Oh yeah, you click one video and then they throw up another video. And
yeah.
It's like, oh dude, this video looks sweet.
Yeah.
Honestly though, it's like, I would say, like lifting, eating, and sleeping are all pretty much equally as important. Like there's people that lift every single day. Their diet's okay, but they can't sleep enough. And they just don't see the results. And I think those 3 things are probably like, I don't know, maybe like 30% each or so. And then I think water's probably 10%.
Yeah.
Water's like definitely overlooked too.
Never thought of that from water aspect.
Yeah, I was. Ben Pollock was a guy that wrote a program that we did this summer, and he recommended like basically like an ounce per pound of body weight of water per day.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
And
it's almost 2 gallons for you.
Yeah, I've been the weekends. I struggle to get enough water, but if I'm at work and it's like a normal day, I have like this 30-ounce bottle, and I'm usually drinking probably at least 6 or 7-ish of these per day. So, I mean, I'm up there in like the vicinity of around 200 ounces.
Yeah, it becomes a chore at that point. Like when you're trying to get that much water in your body.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Like I know my fiance tries to get like more water, and she's always like struggle with it. But like if I decided, all right, like I'm short on water right now, I can just pound like 16, 18 ounces of water like nothing. I don't feel like I don't have a gut ache or anything afterwards. So kind of keeps me going that way. But yeah, I think it's definitely overlooked. You look at like Tom Brady. Yeah. He wrote his book as like the TB12 method. And I haven't read it, but part of his big thing is he's getting like 200 ounces of water a day. And that's part of his plan to stay in like peak performance. I mean,
the body's not in peak performance, but actual gameplay performance.
But for a 41-year-old playing at the highest level in football,
yeah, that is true. He's 41. Yeah,
that's true.
So,
it's tough.
Is there like any medical benefit to being that saturated with water? I mean,
it doesn't hurt to be constantly cleaning your body of toxins and all that like waste fluid, and when you work out, you release endorphins and whatnot, but like that eventually is going to go to waste, and so it doesn't hurt to continuously be cleaning and getting that stuff through. And then I feel like goes along too, you drink a lot of water, and you've been eating a lot too, and that just helps keep that stuff moving, and you're getting all those nutrients in. So I mean, I don't drink that amount of water, but I definitely try to have a lot more than I used to, just because I think it makes me feel better too.
Oh, absolutely. There was a period where all I drank was coffee. And I was like, you know what? After noon, I got to stop drinking coffee and just start pounding water.
Yeah.
I mean, it does get to a point where it actually has like a negative effect where you're like groggy for a different reason because you're dehydrated or whatever.
I really think, because I try to do like in the morning, I try to do like one of these bottles per hour. And I think if you can find a size of bottle that you can do one every hour pretty easily, it just keeps you on track. Yeah. And like even if I just do it in the morning at work, I'll have 3 or 4 of those gone by lunchtime.
Yeah.
And then usually when I'm at the gym, I'm doing about 1.5. And if I can do a couple in the afternoon and then one when I get home eating dinner or whatever, that's you're pretty much there.
You've hit your quota.
Yeah. The only thing that I need to look into more, and I know a lot of people that drink a lot of water do this, is they're adding electrolytes. Because I think if you are like overhydrated, I think you can deprive, like your body gets deprived because you're kind of washing it out.
You're cleaning it up, like I said. Yeah.
So I think that's one thing I kind of need to put a little more research into. Is
cucumber water, I've heard, is full of it, like electrolytes.
I think you can just get electrolytes to add to water because it's just like salts and stuff, right?
Yeah, a little Mio liquid.
Yeah.
Not Mio.
I don't know about Mio.
It was just a joke. But yeah, no, it's like salts and like a little like compounds and things like that.
And like I
I'm not sure where
Tom
you
Brady
buy it,
has
but...
like Tom Brady. I thought he just had like a
yeah.
pump almost, like you'd see like somewhere where you get like ketchup out of, but he had like this big bottle with like a pump on it.
Little syrup bottle.
And he would just pump his electrolytes into his water. I don't even know if it changes the flavor or anything, but it's just.
That'd be interesting to like try though.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if you'd actually like feel better and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know I've seen videos of Ben Pollock, the power lifter. He'll get like an IV sometimes. Like when he's really feeling bad, he'll get like
that's hardcore.
Like before like a big day of training, he'll get like an IV, and I think part of it is electrolytes that they're replenishing. So.
Well, there's only one person in the room qualified for that.
What an animal.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give us. You have to give us IVs before next training.
Really? Well, I can get my hands on them.
I mean, I do got a bench competition tomorrow, so you wanna?
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it after our lift. I'll probably be dead because
after though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We have 6 sets of
mouse chest.
6 sets of 4 tomorrow on bench.
That's rough.
What time are we going?
I'm going like 4:00.
All right. For sure.
You gonna do the bench?
Just get some food after you're done lifting.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll have some before. Too.
I will not be taking part in the competition, no. But I'll be there in spirit.
All right.
And I'll be doing bench day with you, so that's fine.
Yeah. Well, the squat day was 6 sets of 4, which is
that's reasonable for squat though. I mean,
tough,
it's still gonna hurt, but that's.
What was the weight though? Like 80%?
It was
70,
I don't know what percent. It wasn't. So the way this program sets up is it's called like a linear progression.
Okay.
So instead of like, because a lot of programs, it's like, all right, well, you start off with like say sets of like 8 or 9 or whatever.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, do 3 sets of 8 with this weight, and then the next week it's all right, do 3 sets of 6, but you're doing more weight.
Yeah.
So this program is like simpler in the progression because it's like, all right, every week you're doing the same rep range and the same amount of sets, but you're looking to increase by 5 to 10 pounds a week. So it's only for like 4 or 5 weeks because obviously you can't just linearly progress forever. That's not how it works, but it's just kind of a different form of progression that is supposed to help like develop your powerlifting. So
we had something similar to that in high school. So we had a football coach, Jeremy Furman, and he was a big fan of the CMU program.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know why.
And shorts in the winter.
And shorts in the winter, yeah. He always had
It'd be November. This guy had shorts on the sideline.
Sounds like a psycho.
They were his lucky game day shorts. For whatever reason.
The lucky game day shorts.
I mean, we remember he spilled something on himself and he's still warm. It was like ketchup or something. We're like, just change him. He's like, no. But he was a big fan of something similar to that, where it was a slow progression. And each week, you would either add the weight or reduce your reps and continue to add weight. So like you the first 2 weeks would be like 3 sets of 10.
Okay.
And then the next week would be 4 sets of 8.
Okay.
And then it got to a point where you were like 5 sets of 3. And then right before we would max out, you would have what we could call a negative week. And you do negative reps. So you'd add 10 pounds more than you can physically do. And you had side spotters. And you would just do like 2 reps for each set. And they would help you push the weight up. So you know you can't lift the weight.
Right.
But you're doing as much as you can, and you're getting help from your people to pick up the remaining slack. And then you'd max out like 2 weeks down the road or a week down the road, and then you'd start it all over again.
I've heard of people doing stuff similar to that. I know I've heard of like benchers doing, they call it like holds basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll take like 40 or 50 pounds more than their max, and you unrack it, and they'll like hold it there.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point is like, because a lot of times people will train. A lot of people will train at like sets of like 5 or 6 or like 8 even, and then like they'll have like a max out, and so the amount of weight they're doing is maybe only like 75, 80% or 85% tops of their max, and then all of a sudden they're loading up 105% of their max at once. And like I've heard stories of like basically like your central nervous system isn't like acclimated to it, so it feels heavier. Like your strength might be there, but like it's just like that shock to the system.
You're like freaking out. You're like, oh crap.
It's kind of shocking your body.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Right. So then like they do these holds. So like you're used to, say your bench is 300 pounds. All right. You just held 350 pounds. Now you unrack 300. It doesn't feel like it's about to just like crush you or something. You're familiar with holding like weights like that.
I guess that makes sense.
I've never done that myself. I know I've seen like videos of people training that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much.
I don't know
what there's to it, but
yeah.
So what kind of like when you're training, do you kind of follow like some sort of periodization, or do you track what you're doing, or like?
No. I mean, I know you guys you're way more serious at this stuff than I am. I'm more or less just looking for constant progression. I mean, if I start to plateau, I might look into something, but if I'm keeping on moving, which I haven't had any issues increasing my numbers from year to year, especially with all these injuries I've had. I mean, I just keep on going, and I think a big part of it is, one, I have a great diet. I mean, I'm constantly eating. I probably eat 4 meals a day, and then I have like 3 snacks during the day. So I think that helps because I'm constantly able to keep that muscle mass from cannibalizing kind of.
Yeah.
But also like I train endurance and power. So if I overwork one muscle group, I have the other muscle group that like is still strong. So even if I'm still constantly recovering, I still have one muscle group that is strong. Okay. And like what I found is people that only do power, they'll feel super sore because all they do is work one muscle group, and that other muscle group kind of atrophies away. So like when you're starting to get later in your sets and your workouts and you're feeling tired, when you have that slow twitch muscle that could kick in, it just doesn't, because you just train only your fast twitch, which is power.
Okay.
And
I think that's good what you said though about like year to year seeing progress, because like I know if you look at a year to year basis, huge difference. But if you like week to week or month to month,
yeah,
you're not going to see that all the time. Especially you start getting more advanced with what you're doing, you're not going to see the
big jumps.
Right, you're not gonna see
big
it.
jumps that he wants to.
You eventually plateau, and like I'm a believer in that your each body is only able to withstand a certain amount of stress from squat or bench, whatever. Like you're built way better than I am, as far as being able to move heavy objects. So you're gonna be able to advance further than I am in weightlifting, as far as poundage goes. I'm a smaller frame guy. I mean, I'm only 190 pounds and I'm 6 foot. I'm built for speed.
Okay.
So, like, I might not be able to outbench you, but I'm going to outrun you. So, you kind of got to train for your body type as well. So,
Yeah.
Because, like working out with Nick, pure power guy. Short, stocky, moves things short distances, moves a lot of weight. Me, taller, longer, kind of like you.
We love it.
Yeah. So you just got to kind of train for your body type. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's like 3 different types of body types.
It's
mesomorphic, endomorphic. I
think
know.
ectomorph is the other one. Yeah, I have read about that.
I don't know if I'm a big believer in that, but
yeah, I don't know either. I think obviously people have like different frames. Like, you could just look at 2 people. I think you can really tell by people, like if you look at them from the side, you can tell like if you took a point in the front of their chest and like in their back. Like some people, like obviously lifting helps and stuff, but some people are just like wider.
Yeah.
It's not like your shoulders might be the same width, but you look at them from the other angle and it's just like, all right, they're just like a thicker person.
Yeah.
And like you can have 2 people that you stand looking at them head on and they don't really look much different. And then you see them from the side and one looks like a linebacker and the other one looks like a wide receiver almost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just like, and I think that comes down partially to genetics, like training style and all that other stuff. But
well, speaking of genetics, getting back to that hernia thing real quick. So I found this out. So my dad has had 3 hernias. His dad had 2 hernias. I've had now 2 hernias. So I was talking to the surgeon about that real briefly, and he says sometimes you can genetically just be more prone to having hernias just because it's in your family DNA. So
2 of my uncles had hernias, so
yeah. And you already had one, so maybe it runs in the family.
yeah, it is what it is, though.
yeah,
It's not something like you should be constantly worrying about. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, whether you like it or not. You just gotta be smart and diligent about lifting things properly or not overstretching.
So, is there any chance with yours that have been repaired, like once it's repaired, is it like pretty much good to go?
Yeah. So, from what the doctors told me, they always heal back to 100%. It's not like if you damage a ligament where the ligament might be weak or whatever for a long period of time. Once the muscle heals up, I mean, you can't just go back to lifting 100% of what you normally can. You have to slowly progress into it because it takes time to rebuild the muscle that's atrophied. It takes time for the new muscle that you developed from healing to realize, hey, we got to start putting some work in here. So, I mean, it just takes time.
And I think like you talked about like how it's not really like ligament damage or like tendon damage. I was kind of intrigued the other day. I was listening to, do you know who Mark Bell is? Guy that invented the slingshot for benching.
The name sounds familiar, but I've never done any research or seen it or anything like that.
So yeah, he invented the slingshot for benching, which is like you put it across your arms and it's like this rubber thing that goes across your chest. And it's basically you can bench more with it, so you become more acclimated to benching more, and like it's supposed to help you.
Helps you kind of like become aware of like on the negative side.
Yeah, it forces the slot to be correct basically on the bench. So he invented that, but he has a podcast that he had Mike O'Hearn. You heard of him before?
I can't say I have.
You ever watch American Gladiator, the show?
Yeah.
The Titan?
Okay.
He's like big, he's done like bodybuilding, like powerlifting, all this stuff. He's like 40 years old. And if you look at him now, he's built like a Greek god basically, to say the least. Like, I don't know. He claims he's natural. I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical. But he made a good point. Like, you look at pictures of him when he was like 15, and he has like a physique that like all of us would like look at now and be like, holy crap, this guy's probably like 25. But he says like he's always trained, like he's always like took his progressions like kind of slowly with stuff. because he does that in order to develop the strength in both the muscles, but also like the connective tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, I don't know if he's on steroids or not, but a lot of people that are on steroids, their muscle becomes like, you know, they get stronger and faster and bigger, but it doesn't help it's not going to help your tendons as much as it's going to help your muscles. And so like their bodies kind of fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow he's been able to like train in a way that
natural.
He's apparently natural. I don't know. I guess duck eggs go a long way for whatever reason.
Is that his claim?
That's what he's a big duck egg.
We gotta look him up.
Yeah, you gotta look him up. He's
what's his name?
Mike O'Hearn. I'll show you, but he I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, and he definitely looks the part. He's a guy that trains at like Gold's Gym and all that stuff. There you go. There's Mike O'Hearn for you.
Oh, jeez. That guy is huge.
Yeah, but he's like, I mean, I've seen him benching like 400 pounds on incline.
A Greek guy.
So like, yeah, but obviously I question the hormonal profile, but
well, and maybe he isn't natural or not, but I definitely can see what you mean, like by improving ligament strength, because like the amount of high school injuries I see nowadays, from especially football players. Like at my school, we at least had like 3 torn ACLs in the 3 years I played football, and at a higher level. Mm-hmm. Obviously, my freshman year I didn't see too much, but I think a big part of that is like at that age you're still developing and growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you add, in a lot of cases, like for me, I went from not being able to squat like 80 pounds to squatting 350 pounds in high school. That's a lot of weight to put on in 3.5 years of actually lifting weights.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm not a believer in adding that much weight that quick, because injuries can happen and your ligaments do need time to
adjust and catch up and things like that.
Yeah, the loading definitely has an effect. I think that like high school sports especially, you get a lot of people that come from like a background like, you know, maybe they didn't play much as far as like contact sports and stuff when they were younger, and then, you know, they maybe played a little bit in JV and freshman football. Then you get those kids that are late bloomers, and all of a sudden, you know, they're putting on muscle in a hurry, like they get really strong and really fast, like quickly, and so then, you know, they go from maybe not playing very much to playing all the time, but then they take a shot to the knee or something, and they haven't had that, you know, their whole life. Like, I think that's kind of like, you know, these people come into like their kind of start hitting their like peak, almost like their stride, and then their body's just not ready for it. Like, I don't know, I was able to stay pretty much injury free in high school. Like, I rolled an ankle playing basketball, like stupid stuff like that, but like nothing chronic or nothing that was like long recovery time. But I mean, since I was like a little kid, I was like, you know, playing football in the yard with like my family, and like, you know, like always playing with like my cousins who were like older than me by a few years, and like I feel like that like makes a difference in like, you know, your ligament and like the strength of that kind of stuff, just that exposure to it. Where some people, it's like they, you know, maybe go from playing video games all the time, and then it's like, oh yeah, now I'm on a football field.
Yeah, there's definitely like an adjustment period for your body, I would say. I mean, speaking from the first hernia, I wasn't allowed to pick anything up over 8 pounds for 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting myself the motivation to get back in the gym, my body was like, nah, let's just stay in and study. So I definitely would agree that your body kind of changes based on what you put it through on a daily basis, for sure. So, I mean, even like sleep, what was it, my freshman year, I used to get like 8 hours of sleep at night, and that started getting reduced the more I got into studying. And now I can function on 6 hours of sleep like it's nothing. So it's just your body will adapt to what you put your mind to. So if you really want to start working out and growing your muscles, just put your mind to it. Your body will adapt and whatnot. So I don't know. I think your mind is a very powerful thing. You know.
Yeah.
I have a mentor who's been kind of coaching me up through becoming a Navy SEAL. He goes, you know, as cliche as it might sound, he goes, it's mind over matter. If you don't mind, nothing else matters. It's kind of like that for if you don't mind the pain of squatting, right?
Yeah.
You'll eventually get through it to where you break and you're hitting your full stride, and, until you plateau.
Well, especially with endurance. I mean, I think the second wind is like such a real thing that a lot of people are totally oblivious to. They run for a couple minutes, they get tired, and that's it. Where it's like there's more in the tank. You have to know how to find it.
You have to get there,
Yeah, and I definitely can say that I would never have believed this until I started doing it. I hate running, by the way. It's not something I'm fast, but I hate endurance running, and it's something I had to learn. And there is a thing as such like a second wind. It might take you a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, but I mean, there gets to a point where you go from being absolutely miserable and sweating to, actually this isn't that bad. You're breathing well. You're having happy thoughts. It's like, well, I guess this is happening now, and it slowly decreases into that second wind. I mean, I went from being gassed after 2 miles to being able to run 4.5 and being smiling when I stepped off. Never thought it would happen, but your body changes. You push through that period of where it sucks, and you get to where it's easy again.
Where do you usually run?
Just at the rec.
Just at the rec.
Yeah, treadmill. It's not real running. I know that, but because you can hop a mile, you can run a mile, but you're not really like working your hamstrings per se, because like a treadmill, the belt is making you move, not your legs. But when you're actually running, you're using your hamstrings and your quads to actually propel yourself forward. Like your hamstring pulls, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're on a treadmill, you don't have to put any force into the ground to pull yourself.
Your foot's going back no matter what.
Yeah. So when you're running, that's why I call it fake running. So.
Are you still on campus or are you off campus?
No, I'm off campus. It's way too expensive to live on campus.
If you want to go run, go out to the golf course.
Oh, those hills.
Especially at night, you go out on that golf course and run. There, it is nice. You kick the shoes off a little bit, and you're
I'm sure
that nice short grass.
Yeah.
That's a nice. There's some deer out there, and we used to do that once in a while. We'd go out there, especially like a warm night, if it was like 75 degrees or whatever, and it was like a clear night. We used to go out there and run. And
you're telling me you're not running barefoot in February in Michigan?
No.
What the?
No, not for me. But
those negative 20-degree days.
But it is the challenging part is the slopes, because it is all over the place out there. Yeah. It's up and down, and you're running way down a hill and turning a corner, and then all of a sudden you're right back up a hill. And
I had a girl that I used to run with a lot, and she was big into endurance, even more into endurance training than I was. And she kicked my butt for so long because she'd run outside and she'd be going up and down hills all day, where I'd just run on the track, the indoor track, and that's perfectly flat.
Yeah.
So she was used to that constant fluctuation and amount of force she has to apply to get up that hill. Let me tell you, if you want to get in good shape, go run some hills.
Oof. I think running barefoot is like awesome for you too. If you're like taking if you're getting rid of like the shoe, and I've even heard lifting barefoot is good for you, because like the way like our shoes are structured, our foot kind of conforms to the shoe it's in. And like your balance and stuff is all different. Like obviously we're used to it because we wear shoes all the time, but like I've like seen articles and stuff about like going barefoot, like, and you think about running barefoot, you're strengthening like your your heel and like your ball of your foot, and like all like the connective stuff going on in your foot is all being strengthened because it's got to support itself.
Right, it's working in its natural way.
Right.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Do you think that because people wear shoes all the time when they work out or run, do you think that's why a lot of people are getting lower arches now than like back in the day where they had higher arches, and maybe you didn't always wear your shoes and you went out and played outside actually?
I would imagine it's got something to do with
a little bit of correlation.
I think the technology is so much better now that we are able to identify things better than we were before. Yeah. So I think a lot more things come to the light that might not have back then. Like we know a lot more than we did then.
Yeah.
But I do think I don't know, kind of the comfort that we have every day that we are so used to. I think that kind of might be pushing us the wrong way a little bit almost.
Almost like we're becoming so dependent on the like technology or like the shoe or whatever to just complete our daily task. Like
Right.
something kind of like that.
Yeah, I think there's like there's some sort of trend where we're becoming like more acclimated to stuff. Like if all of a sudden, like coats were all like half as thick, we would just get used to the cold.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be like you're not gonna like die walking to your car. I mean, unless you gotta go like 5 miles to get to your car, but like you just would be like used to not being as comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think our bodies are.
Yeah, you definitely did. Like, I know went on spring break to Florida, and I was like, man, this is way too hot down here. It was like 85. It's just because I'm used to, like, the Michigan winters at this
Okay, you
point.
get a 55 day and you want to wear shorts outside.
Oh, absolutely.
It's funny, yeah, because you get a 55 day now, and you see people wearing shorts, and you get a 55 day in the summer, and everybody complains about how cold it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
you're wearing a coat.
you're adapted to it.
Yeah. That's just how it is, though.
Yeah, and that's how it is with weights are too. Like how your body adapts to like the way you train. Like
that's why
by
you gotta
your
switch it
ligaments,
up all the
everything
time.
getting stronger because you're training a certain way.
Yeah.
So
I think we came to a pretty good conclusion there that, whatever you put your body through, it'll adapt to, as long as you just keep to it long enough. I think I heard it takes like 21 days to develop a habit or something like that. And
yeah, I
if
think
you
I've heard
quit,
that.
if you quit any one of those days, you have to restart it. So
I think that's true.
maybe we're onto something here.
Yeah. All right, everybody, quit wearing shoes. Quit wearing coats. Get over it. You'll be fine.
Just give it
I
21
like
days.
it. I like it. Yeah, 21 days.
We've seen those like nature dudes and stuff. I don't know if you ever watched like Dual Survival. It was called.
Psychos.
Yeah.
And this guy was
Naked
like
and Afraid. Yeah.
Well, Dual Survival though, they go into like the Alaskan wilderness or something, and this guy just didn't wear shoes.
Well, he's crazy.
But he hadn't worn shoes forever, so he's like, why am I gonna wear shoes now? And he was like totally fine.
Ooh,
I don't know if I can do that. Alaska, barefoot. Oh, man.
it's cringy.
I don't know. Well, you got any wisdom to leave folks with, or?
I guess just keep working out. I mean, make sure you're using proper technique. And, I know I talked a lot about hernias and how easy it is to get them, but don't let the fear of getting a hernia or injury stop you from doing what you want to do. I mean, if you're going to get injured, you're going to get injured.
Yeah.
So
If you're doing a lot of things to, prevent it and be smart about it, then your risk is minimal.
I mean, yeah, like Austin said, be smart, lift properly, and just go after it. I mean, if you get injured, take the time off that you need, and then rebound. I mean, the big thing for me was just getting my core and glutes stronger again, because I have a lot of downtime from the first surgery, and those areas got super weak. So I needed to strengthen them before I could get back to where my big numbers were. And
Right. And I think that's like even training normally.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, like you're tearing your muscles down. If you almost think of it as like an injury, like I don't know, you can almost call it like micro injuries, like to your legs when you do like a heavy leg day. And think about it like that. All right, well, I need so many days to recover from this.
yeah.
And you take that recovery seriously,
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna be ready to get right back at it again.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think another thing real quickly worth mentioning is like stability training. I don't know if you guys have looked into it, but like stability discs, those are great because it strengthens like the ligaments, which we talked about earlier, getting those to adapt and move you past stronger weight, like especially like your knees. If you're squatting, you use your knees for everything on a daily basis, walking, whatever. You need those ligaments strong so it can handle all the weight or stress that you put on it from walking or whatever. So that's another thing I like to do a lot is stability work. And
What do you mean the stability discs? Like the
it's basically like a really thick flat balloon. If you
oh yeah,
Bolsu ball?
they have them in the back.
the Bolsu ball, but there's actually like a little disc.
It's pink.
Pink.
Yeah, and those are great. I mean, that's something that I think people should incorporate into their training because it also shows you any imperfection you have in your form if you're overcompensating with a special muscle or something.
Yeah.
So
Definitely a lot of ways that you can develop yourself aside from just your normal lifts. And I think there's so much information out there that I think everybody's form can improve.
Mm.
It's just taking the time to go find things and go find, being able to identify your weaknesses. And we started recording sets.
Like video, like
yeah,
on video.
just on video, and it just tells all.
Yeah.
You know, you can see. Okay.
There's been a lot of things that we found out max week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could work on.
Your form tends to go away when you're trying to get that higher weight.
Yeah.
And like for me, we noticed on deadlift, I didn't have good enough tightness in my lats. So when I pull the heavier weight, I get like a little bit of upper back rounding, and it's like almost like if you could imagine, like pulling like a fishing pole.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the tension you're creating because you're not tight and you're not keeping the bars close to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Where like for Austin, it's more keeping your hips like into the bar more at the start of it, where he would have problems where his hips would come up first, where my shoulders would come down first. So, I mean, everybody's got different issues with it, and if you're able to identify the things you're doing wrong, you can make so much progress. Well, all right.
That's it. I think we're good.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hey, you know what's a good idea? Maybe after this podcast, maybe in 2 weeks or so, we have like another one where I talk about like this hernia surgery, how this experience was, because these are going to be polar opposite experiences from what I've been told. So maybe we can talk about that in recovery, and I'm gonna definitely do some research on nutrition and stuff like that to find out what to eat healthier. So maybe we do a follow up and be like, hey, this is what we have if you get banged up or something.
Yeah.
Go from there.
And how we beat Nick Baker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
make that happen.
Yes.
All right, we'll definitely do a follow up. You're always welcome back. So, all right, thank you.